Okay, good evening. My name is Mike May, and welcome to Conversations. And tonight we have a couple of guests, Wisdom and Sarah. And you work with, now what is at UConn, right?
Yep. So I work with the International Christian Fellowship at UConn. As you said, my name is Wisdom, but I'm from Nigeria, so my Nigerian name is Anietie Williams, and I'm this ICF secretary at UConn.
And I'm Sarah Chrissy, and I'm a volunteer with International Christian Fellowship, and have been since 1995.
Oh, so this is like, now, so how did you get involved with 95, 2005, 50? That's almost 30 years.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Somebody asked me, can you be a friend?
Oh.
And I said, yes. They said, you can do this.
Okay. So now what do you do as a volunteer?
As a volunteer, I have multiple hats, but I'd say my most important hat is organizing the meal for Friday night. I make sure that there's food available. I don't cook at all. We have a group of people called Culinary Missionaries, and I create that group of people and build on the group of people that was created before I came on board. And I call them and make sure that the week that they want to do it is available, or they're available for the week we need it. We provide a full meal.
Neat. So this is like a once a week thing to get all the international students
Yeah.
together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Food always helps connect.
Yes, yes. And where do you do this? At UConn?
We are on campus in a church that's across the street from a lot of the offices that the students come out of. We're at St. Mark's on North Eagleville Road.
Okay, I did my grad work there, so I probably passed by it 1,000 times. I'll have to try to.
It's the church with all the bells.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I think I know. Yeah. Okay, so now Wisdom. Now you're from Nigeria.
Yep.
So now you were in Nigeria. Now you're here. I guess you're attending classes at UConn.
Yeah. So I'm doing my PhD.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a graduate student in chemistry at
Okay.
the University of Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh, neat. So now, can you tell us a little bit about the journey from Nigeria to Storrs, Connecticut?
Of course. So when I was in Nigeria, I've been a very committed Christian. So coming from Nigeria and coming to this place, one of the things I really wanted to get involved with was a very committed Christian fellowship. And so that was one of the things I looked out for coming from Nigeria. And as soon as I got here, I started speaking with friends around. And a friend of mine actually spoke to me about the International Christian Fellowship. At that time, they were having an international student welcome event, which they normally do every year, or let me say, which we normally do every year now, since I'm involved with ICF. So we do that every year, and what it does is it just kind of bring all the international students, Christian students, not just Christians, but international students together, just creates an environment of bonding, fellowship, communion, and everything. So we come together. The one I attended, the first year I was here, we actually went to a beachside.
Oh.
Yeah,
Nice.
so, and the family, a very wonderful American family hosted us there. And there
They
were
had a
lots of
beach house
people.
or something?
Yeah.
Lake
something like
house.
Oh, lake house.
that. Lake house, sorry. I said beach.
But they had a beach.
Hey.
So I actually liked the whole love that was shared. There was lots of food, which is also very important.
Yeah.
And then there was lots of bonding, there was lots of friendship. I met new people. And then the fact that the whole environment was open to people who were not just Christians actually just showed an atmosphere for demonstrating to the love of Christ. Because I have always believed that the love of Christ should not just be shown to just Christians alone, but to both Christians and non-Christians. And so I was really fascinated by that fellowship, and I thought, okay, this is one fellowship that I really want to get involved with.
Okay, well that sounds, and that's where you met Sarah.
Yeah. I can't remember if I met her that very day. I don't know if she was
I think I
around.
was there.
Okay, she was there. So she has been an amazing person in ICF so far. I hope we have the opportunity to talk about that eventually.
Well, go ahead, talk about it now.
Okay, so Sarah is an American volunteer that has been very, very helpful to us. The fact that she treats the International Christian Fellowship much more than a volunteering opportunity for her. She treats it more like family. So we have a lot of international Christian volunteers also American volunteers, but I have not seen so many who is as committed as Sarah so far. So one of the things that she's been quite committed and responsible for is our feeding every Friday. Sometimes I feel like it's overburdening and overbearing, but the way she does it with so much joy and so much commitment, you just feel like she's really, really excited and happy doing that. And even when she's not going to be around, she ensures that she makes alternative opportunities available for meal to be provided, which is really something that I've learned from her. And I think in one of our ICF events, we have used her as an example to teach, because most times every Friday we talk about the life and examples of Jesus in some of our Bible studies. And one of the persons that spoke in one of the meetings actually used her as an example to talk about how even Jesus used food, a couple of times to draw people to Christ, to himself, and which I feel like it's
bread and the fish.
Yeah, of course.
We only have 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Yes, but he had many dinners in homes.
Right, yeah.
And we do try to make it a dinner.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because about decades ago, I was going to a little school in Rhode Island, and it was a lady who lived across the street from the school. She had like an open house. Her house was kind of like an open house. People could come over and just like watch TV or have a cup of coffee. And I think like on Friday night, she'd have like, hamburgers, maybe some spaghetti and cake or something. But it was a nice break just to, instead of being in a dorm all the time or in classes, I'm in a real home and I'm sitting down and I'm having a meal with some people. So it saved me from a nervous breakdown at least once.
Yeah, and that does to a lot of international students. So if you have conversations,
well, that's true, yeah.
If you have conversations with international Christian students who are part of ICF, they will tell you how, because apart from the meetings we have every Friday, we've also had opportunities where volunteers like Sarah and a couple of other volunteers have actually hosted us in their house. And we've had the opportunity to have food and bond and enjoy American culture, which has been good. And so sometimes it just gives you this opportunity to just take yourself away from the pressure that you would normally feel as an international Christian or international student who is trying to adapt into a different environment, you see. And I feel like even the teachings of God and sharing Bible studies and all sometimes should just be taken away from these traditional church platforms where people just come and, I'm coming to study the Bible and all. I feel like it should be done in this kind of open house settings where people can just want to have friendship, fellowship, and then enjoy studying the Word of God, which is one thing that the International Christian Fellowship has actually done to many of us.
Well, that was in the New Testament about the church that meets at your house.
Yeah.
And say so they met at this person's house. So this is like getting back to basics.
There aren't too many houses right on campus.
Yeah.
We would love a house situation, but we have a kitchen and we have an all-purpose room that we set up like a dining room.
So you have a spot.
We have a spot, and it's on campus where they can come out, and many of them have to go back to their research, back to their studies. So it's convenient. And many times we've been asked, come do it at our church. We'll provide, I just had a church say, we'll provide transportation. I said, but you don't understand. They need to be able to leave when they leave, get to us when they get to us, go back when they have to go back, or go home. And we help with rides if they need rides home or whatever. So
that just makes it a lot more convenient.
It does. It makes it convenient. And what happens is they open up with one another and they create friendships and bonds and between nationalities and languages. And, you can say that we have had Chinese and Taiwanese in the same room, and they get along very, very well, surprisingly. So, that's just an example. But
okay, good. Well, we have to take a quick break, and we'll continue with that. So we'll be right back with Sarah and Wisdom. Okay, welcome back. We're here again with Sarah and Wisdom from the International, I've always forgot,
International Christian Fellowship.
International Christian Fellowship. And you were talking about you have a place on campus, so people don't, they can, I can go there for a little while. I can go there, have a meal, chit-chat, then I can go back and study whatever it is I'm studying.
Yeah, and we kind of nickname ourselves ICF. It's easier than International Christian Fellowship. And I know many a time we decided we would do something besides have our meal Bible study and just whatever time that students want to stay after that.
Yeah.
And we've done a movie or game night.
Sure.
And the students would walk in and go, "What? No Bible study?"
That's
So
good.
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of them say that.
Yeah.
But we do like to kind of interrupt things, and I call myself the distractor with purpose.
Ah, okay.
Like that.
Because I think they have a very heady, a very intense life on campus.
Well, yeah.
So coming out on Friday night, if that does it for you, yeah. But if you're really having some difficulties and you need to come and just spend an overnight at my house or take a ride in the country or go shopping,
right,
you know, there are many ways that our volunteers will do that type of thing too.
That's good.
And I can always find somebody to pick people up at airports or it's multifaceted. It's not just sit around the table.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
And it's not just come for food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's they want that Bible study.
Yeah, well, great. That's now you had now getting back you're working on your PhD in chemistry. Now, how long have you been in the States or at UConn?
Yeah, so this is my second year in UConn. Yeah.
Okay. So before this, you were studying back in Nigeria?
Okay, so I did my undergrad, my bachelor's degree in Nigeria, but then I went to the UK for
you
my
did?
master's. Yeah.
Oh, now where in the UK?
So I did my master's in the University of York in England.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
York. Okay, that's in the northern England.
Yeah, I think the northern.
More northern. Now, how did that come about to go from Nigeria to York, England, the University of York?
Okay, so one way that people from Nigeria would normally go abroad for like advanced degrees and all is probably scholarships and all. So thinking about it, I actually first and foremost got a scholarship to go to the UK for my master's. And
So you were able to get a scholarship after you finished. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually coming to the US too, I got like a graduate teaching assistantship also coming here. Yeah, so immediately after my master's in the UK, I just took a flight down here. And I think in the UK was one of where I just probably decided that I really would identify with an international Christian fellowship here, because going to the UK, I understood how settling into a different environment actually took a huge effect on me at the time, because it was the different weather, different food, different culture, and then it was difficult for me to also settle into an efficient Christian community as well. So I think I struggled with that a lot, being alone sometimes, and a lot of times having to depend on my family back home to call for long hours and all of that. But then coming here again, one of the major difficulties compared to the UK as well would be that we are like 6 hours behind, so it's a 6 hours time difference.
Oh, yeah.
So it means
just
that
a call,
yeah,
right.
exactly. The family option was definitely not going to work for me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I think that coming to the US, I just decided that I actually would identify with an international Christian community here, and then seeing what has happened in ICF, it was just the best choice for me to make.
Now, when you went had you ever been out of Nigeria much before?
No,
you
that was
went?
my first time traveling.
That was your
out.
first time,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
just completely zoom, here you are. So what struck you when you first got to England? Like, what's different that stuck out?
A lot of things were different. Like, so many things were different. Like, number one is the way we do church in Nigeria is different from how we do it here. So in Nigeria, you could move from street to street, and then you see churches like in every of the street. And coming to the UK, I couldn't exactly find a church to worship in. So the church I eventually found was about 20 minutes drive from where I was. And of course, I didn't have a car at that time.
Yeah.
It was just a 1 year master. I had to get a bike. And if I was cycling with my bike, it takes me about maybe 40 to 45 minutes.
Oh, yes. It was, it was a big,
exactly. A lot of things. So secondly, again, is transportation. which is, of course, is much terrible here compared to the UK. Because in Nigeria, you could just come out of your house, hop on a bike or a mini cycle, a mini car, or a mini bus, and all of that, and then you get to where you're going. In the UK, the transportation system was more structured. So if you don't deliberately plan out your trip.
Oh, I see.
Exactly.
Yeah. It comes at this time, and then if you miss it, you're out of luck. Yeah.
So sometimes I actually missed my train in the UK because I use trains a lot in the UK, and then bus as well. The bus system in the UK was about 30 minutes interval. So the first time I missed a bus, I learned to know that I should actually go early because the bus came in about 3 minutes earlier than it should, and left. So when I got there, I had to miss the bus, and then because of that, I missed my class as well. So some of those things I had to learn. So coming to the US, it was easier for me to adapt in those kind of situations. Yeah.
So you get used to things being on the clock.
Of course.
Things aren't as informal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about food?
Yeah, food. Yeah. So I think I learned my lessons in the UK because when I traveled to the UK, I was so much hopeful that I would be able to adapt to the food, but I never did.
Oh, really?
I never did.
Oh.
I loved British breakfast, for example, and some of the food, but to eat it like a consistent meal, I never adapted in that manner.
Now how come? What was it that was hard to adapt?
Okay, so one thing that we have in our meal in Nigeria is our food is kind of more spicy. I know what you see as spicy is okay, but in Nigeria we call it like peppery. So when something is like really spicy, it's hot, if you get what I mean. So you find it much more easy to digest and all of that.
You find it easy if it's hot. You find it easy.
Exactly.
To digest. Okay, well that would be the exact opposite
so you
for
feel like
me.
it goes, yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah, I know.
Say I'm having trouble digesting this.
Yeah, the UK is even better in that regard. If you come
Yeah, that
to
would be relatively mild. Yeah.
Yeah, America was much more interested in having, what's it called now? Much more
variety.
Variety kind of compared to Nigeria. So one lesson I learned was when I was coming to America, because I went back to Nigeria, when I was coming back to America, I had to come with at least a couple of my food from Nigeria.
You brought some, you had a supply.
But I mean, so far so good. I think I've kind of adapted much more with the American food compared to how I did in the UK. Maybe because of the international community I've actually been in America. Yeah.
When I was living in California, I was working for an Indian couple, and they were having a meal for their friends, and they said, "Oh, we need some more soda. Can you go down to the store and get some soda?" So I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And as I was going, I'll just take this little tiny hors d'oeuvre. And as I was driving down, I'll just eat this, and I ate it.
Spicy, right?
And I got to the store, and I ran into the store, and I ran over to, and I just opened the thing, and went, and the people, "You're really thirsty, aren't you?" Because to me it was. And later when I went back, I said, "Boy, that was really spicy." And she said, "Gee, we kind of toned it down because people are, oh my goodness."
Of
course. So for me, it was, it was.
India is actually related, is much more related to Nigeria in that regard because they eat spicy food as well. So in the UK, I ate a lot of Indian meals.
Oh, okay. That felt more at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, we have to take another short break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back and with conversations.
At Community Voice Channel, you learn television production with hands-on experience. Our programming comes from volunteers just like you. For more information on how to volunteer, call 860-645-1454 or visit www.cvcct.org. Don't just watch TV, make it.
Okay, hello, welcome back to Conversations, and we're just talking about the different foods. And so, Sarah, you were saying something?
I was very fortunate that I have a Kenyan that had been a student. Her husband had been a student at UConn, and she had been a student at Central. She cooked Kenyan food for us the same night that I had one of my Nigerian friends cook for us. So that made everybody pretty happy.
Yeah. You could imagine
they came in.
the time, because Sarah actually planned a real international meal event in ICF where we had Kenyan food, we had Nigerian food, Nigerian jollof rice. Like if you ask any Nigerian about the Nigerian jollof rice, they'll be so excited. If you give it to them right now, they'll be really excited to have it. So I was, me myself, because I didn't know what was going on. When I came in for that ICF event, it was a Friday fellowship as well, and we saw it, I couldn't contain my excitement.
Now, what was it? Was it a special food?
So we had the Nigerian jollof rice. We had the
No, it's some kind of fry.
Nigerian jollof rice.
Jello fries.
Yeah, it's called
Now,
jollof rice. Yeah.
They're now,
It's spicy.
But now,
spicy.
when you say Jello, I think
No,
of the
it's
dessert.
not Jell-O.
Okay, I was just gonna. I don't think you
It's
fried
their
Jello.
word.
Yeah, it's jollof.
Oh, jollof fries.
Yeah,
And
jollof.
what is jollof? Is it a?
So it's rice, but
Okay.
it's the way it's made. So you have it. I can't describe how it's being
But
made.
it's basically it's rice prepared in a
Yeah,
certain way.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
A specific way with chapati bread.
Chapati is from Kenya.
Yeah, but I had to have both
Yeah, she
to
had
make
chapati.
both sides happy.
So because we have a lot of Kenyans too in the ICF,
Wait.
and so when they came in too as well, they were so excited. I was also excited with the chapati too because
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
had a lot
yeah.
of chapati
Yeah,
as
they,
well, which
they
was,
all like that.
it was nice. It was good.
Well, when I moved to California, this was like 50 years ago. I lived there for a while, and someone was preparing guacamole. And guacamole is green and mushy, and you mush it up. And I went, "What is that?" He said, "That's guacamole." I said, "What do you do with that?" "Well, you eat it." He said, "Green and slimy stuff? You're not supposed to eat green and slimy stuff." I've learned. So I tried it, and I went, "Oh!" So I developed a taste for it.
That's made its way to the East Coast. by
Oh
the way.
yeah, right. Yeah, that certainly spread. And another time I used to teach, and like a group with some kids, we went out to a meal, and they had some seafood, so they had mussels, steamed clams. So I ordered a bowl of that, plate of that, and they brought it over, and they put it on the table, and I picked it up, and one of the kids went, "What are you eating? What is this?" Because he had never seen these weird things. You just do this, and you shake it out, and you do it. "What are you doing?" So again, different.
And we are in the Northeast.
Yeah, right, true. Yeah,
But a lot of the palate has opened up. Restaurants are opening up. We have
Yes,
some,
yes.
Yeah, we have some. And we not only have our African nations, we have people from
Palestine.
Europe and
Palestine.
Palestine.
Oh, yeah.
Iranians,
Philippines. We have Philippines. We have Iranians.
Filipinos, and Indians,
We have Indians.
Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to get back. Now you're going for your PhD in chemistry. Now, what do you want to hope to do with that? Because that's very intense and a lot of training.
I know, right? I hope to get a job in industry afterwards. Yeah, so that's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing any idea or just working with that?
Yeah, basically research. So one of my goal, and that's what I'm doing my research, is kind of making synthesis much more cleaner and greener. That's what I had. My master's degree was in green chemistry. So it's kind of making chemistry more sustainable. Yeah, exactly. So that's my goal with research, industry, whatever, just to get into the synthetic system and just try to improve it in terms of efficiency. So when we make processes more greener, we're thinking about the efficiency, we're thinking about waste, we're thinking about the raw materials and all of that. And we're thinking about like what happens after the process, the entire process, and then what happens after. So
Well, I was just listening to something on the radio, and this woman who lives in New Hampshire, her well was tested, and it had this incredible amount of PDFs. I forget, it's some kind of chemical that just doesn't go away. And then she had a blood test, and she's like in the top 1 percentile of the United States. So she has this huge amount of this chemical in her system. And it doesn't break down. And there's a company down the road that manufactures it, and they aren't saying anything. So as you're saying, for industry, it's good. Oh, this stuff never breaks down, so we want to use it. But then if it gets in your body, it never breaks down. So that would be, coming up with ways to.
Of course. Because right now, what most industries focus on is making much more money.
Yeah,
So they don't think about the effect, the after effect. And even if they do, they feel, we can just dump these things right down. So thinking about what you just talked about, for example, I think if much more effort is put into research in those kind of areas, you can think about, materials that are much more biodegradable. That's one aspect of green chemistry as well. So think about what kind of materials do you get from your process and if they are biodegradable. Otherwise, I think that it's just advisable to just scrap that process entirely.
So could there possibly be a biodegradable plastic?
Yeah, I mean, my research in the University of York was much more from synthesizing biodegradable plastics, so from starch. So I started that sort of research
Oh, yeah,
there.
a plastic made from starch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of work going on in that area as well, you know. So yeah, a lot of research is going on. Biodegradable plastic is actually plastic for the future, and I mean.
Well, that was because I know when I walk on the beach, you know, every other thing is like somebody's Evian bottle or something, and they just wipe up on the shore. I go for a walk around Union Pond, and I always come back with a few plastic bottles. And why don't you just throw this out? And I hate to see it go in the water because, you know, well, it's just going to sink to the bottom, and it's just not going that way.
Yeah.
So you can make stuff out of starch,
Of
plastic
course.
starch.
So I think
Of course,
the major problem with industries now in that regard is because the kind of plastics that comes out from starch and all is probably not as efficient as what they would normally have from the normal chemical plastic materials. And that's exactly why there's sort of reluctance in moving into biodegradable plastic. But a lot of companies are actually taking that option. So,
Well, that would be great if we could get rid of. So what other things are you working on in your studies?
in my research, so I said my master's was focused on green chemistry, but my current research is actually focused on automating systems. So kind of taking a traditional synthetic method and trying to automate it. Because I know if you kind of automate systems, what you do is you minimize the materials you put in, you make the process more efficient, and then you minimize the amount of waste that comes out eventually. So yeah, so that's what my current research is on. So the lab I work with, we kind of study a particular reaction pathway or reaction procedure and just try to optimize it, and then now apply that into an try to make it run on an automated system. That's what we do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you win the Nobel Prize in 20 years, we were here. We can say we had this. We had
Exactly.
this. Okay.
We have some of the most intelligent people from other nations studying at UConn. Most of our students are grad students, by the way, and most of them are PhD grad students.
Yeah.
Some are working on their masters, and some of them are working on a second master's, and a few of them are undergraduates, and they've got to be pretty intelligent to want to be in that group, to tell you the truth. So we're very blessed with just so many different people, nations, their level of study, how long they've been at UConn. Some are preparing to matriculate, get their PhDs, and others are coming on board.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Sarah, for coming and telling us about the International Christian Fellowship, ICF.
Thank you. You got it.
And Wisdom for telling us all about your journeys and spicy food, but that you can adjust. And plastic made out of starch. So I learned something tonight. You can make plastic out of starch. So thank you. And thank you for joining us. I'm Mike May.